Oh, yeah. It's just so iconic.
You see?
Hello?
Her decay.
You there? Feeling happy? Need something to make you feel a little bit more sad? Well, you should go to Lucen's merch shop, featuring a whole range of items, including this t-shirt. Continue to encourage Lucen's delusional activities by getting a band t-shirt from his recent Totally Real World Tour. Head over to his merch page for a range of sad items. Express your own emotional instability with the Crying Club tote bag.
This will come in handy.
Or you can cry into your morning coffee with the Crying Club crying mug. Head over to Lucen's merch shop today. Link is in the description. Being able to connect to your own emotions cannot be confirmed nor denied. Lucen would like to assure you that his world tour is totally real and not made up, and this band t-shirt is here to prove it. So yes, you should definitely believe in everything he says. Goodbye.
Hello, welcome to this video. My name's Dan, aka Lucen, and this is my reaction to Ray of Light by Madonna. Let's go. So this reaction is actually a Patreon request. A patron by the screen name of Druk requested this over on Patreon a few months ago, and I've decided to edit it and put it on YouTube because I thought it would go over quite well with you YouTube people too. All of my requests and stuff stay on Patreon usually, but occasionally ones like this break out if I think they're going to do well. Thank you very much to everybody on Patreon, but specifically people like Druk who keep the lights on in my fucking house. If you want to get involved in the Patreon community, it's called the Crying Club. We love it here. Head over to Patreon. There's loads of different tiers where you can get involved, including the upper tiers where you do get to request songs, artists or albums from me as their own little videos. But yeah, let's go on to the video. I'm loving this Madonna discovery. It's really proved to be so amazing. And I'm super excited to actually do Ray of Light finally. I remember this being absolutely huge in the UK, and like a bunch of the singles were kind of like iconic, huge songs. And I must have been like 6 or 7 when it came out. And so I think I was really starting to get aware of pop music, but I've never listened to the full album. So yeah, I'm very excited to do that. The first song is Drowned World / Substitute for Love. So let's go. But that sound almost sounds like people, but so distant and lost, like underwater.
You see?
Hello?
I traded fame for love. With some things cannot be bought.
I love how quiet and controlled her voice is. It's really gorgeous. I suffered fools so gladly.
I've changed my mind. The face
Interesting.
my substitute for love.
Those drums are so tight and satisfying in the ambience.
You see?
Wow, the ambient stuff in those pads is just really gorgeous. Oh yeah. Wow.
Looking for a home.
So she's feeling lost. Doesn't matter how much she looks. Oh.
So happy. The face of you.
Oh, that just gave me chills. The movement onto that guitar is so beautiful.
Should I wait for you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it literally feels like a new day is dawning. It's gorgeously smooth and like understated and just kind of unfurled. Oh, it's lush. Yeah. Wow. Oh, that drum production is just killing me. I love it.
Should I wait for you? My substitute for love.
What is the substitute for love?
You see?
It's that voice.
Now I'm my mind.
I love that like almost like gated synth thing.
My religion.
Oh, gorgeous. And then flows into the next thing. Oh, fucking stunning. And immediately she just completely resets the entire agenda. You know, it's like nothing like anything she's done before. There's this smoothness to it. There's this like avant-garde production to it, but it still sounds beautiful and like gorgeously easy to listen to as well. Like it really is like a world. She's already bringing up themes of like sunrise and water. Like there's the drowned world. It almost feels like at the beginning we're witnessing some sort of like underwater society. As the song continues and the production gets lighter and more like free flowing, it just kind of crests and it almost just feels like we're like coming out of the ocean into like the gorgeous morning sunshine. It really just has like such visceral energy to it. It's fucking stunning. That moment where like it switched to guitar was just so subtle, but like there was something so incredibly effective about it. It's like each element of the song, each element of the production is so meticulously crafted that it like has just such a visceral, strong energy to it. And I don't know, it's just beautiful. Like, yeah. I wonder what the substitute for love is. It could be like her music. It could be her career. There's like an element of her like searching the world for somewhere to call home. She's a bit lost, I think. I traded fame for love without a second thought. It all became a silly game, some things I cannot be bought. Also, the substitute for love is fame. She's like, I have abandoned all kind of sense of like normal life, of normal love for fame. I got exactly what I asked for. I wanted it so badly. Running, rushing back for more. I suffer fools so gladly. And now I find I've changed my mind. Should I wait for you, my substitute for love? Immediately. This is a personal album. I traded fame for love. The first line of the album is really vulnerable. I find it interesting that like her idea of chasing fame and chasing success has changed. And yet this is the album that took her to new heights of success, that reintroduced her to an entire new generation, you know. Travel around the world looking for a home. I found myself in crowded rooms feeling so alone. I had so many lovers who settled for the thrill. There's the lonely existence of touring, being a famous artist, but being with so many people and yet still feeling completely alone. It's like the isolation that this fame has brought her. And like she's had so many lovers and yet none of them are there for love. They're there for the thrill, for the adrenaline, settled for the thrill. You know, that's so fascinating because people often talk about settling in terms of romantic love, but like it's interesting that she's positioned that oppositionally. Famous faces, far off places, trinkets I can buy, no handsome stranger, heady danger drug that I can try, no Ferris wheel, no heart to steal, no laughter in the dark, no one night stand, no far off land, no fire that I can spark. So it's like nothing is working. Now I find I've changed my mind. This is my religion. So she's like found something more spiritual to follow. And that's where we're going to go into the next song. This is Swim. And we're continuing the water metaphors. Loved the way that flowed in. So, the water sounds in the background. It's all very subtle and gorgeous. I like that guitar.
Things can't get any worse. I can't care.
Ooh.
On my back, I'm gonna swim to the ocean floor. Crash to the other shore. Children killing children. Students raping teachers. While the churches burn their preachers.
Wow.
Don't wanna carry anymore.
There's some sense of letting go, of relinquishing of responsibility, I suppose. Maybe it's like organised religion.
Swim to the ocean floor.
Crash to the other shore, swim to the ocean floor. There's an idea of finding depth. Yeah.
We can begin again. Wash away all our sin.
I love how those guitars in isolation take me to the kind of grunge era of the 90s, and yet the song kind of as a whole is totally separated from that.
Crash to the other shore. Swim to the ocean floor.
There's an idea of like swimming, kind of having this lightness to it, you know. God, this is like, it feels so timeless, this music, you know. Like you think of the other music coming out around this time, like Britney and stuff. It sounds emblematic of the late 90s. But this one kind of seems to just exist, you know, timeless, gorgeous, beautiful, really just so like rich in terms of metaphor and emotion, and like it feels like you're being transported somewhere, you know? Like I feel that there's such an attention to the kind of world building within this album so far. Yeah, it transports you. It's really, really gorgeous and fascinating. And like she really leans into this feeling of like weightlessness, you know, the water holding you up, you know. And she's like talking about the sins of the past. We can't carry them on our back, you know. We have to swim to the ocean floor. It's like we have to let go by going under the water. There's a silence to it. There's a weightlessness to it. Put your head on my shoulder, baby. Things can't get any worse. Night is getting colder sometimes. Life feels like a curse. I can't carry these sins on my back. Don't want to carry anymore. I'm going to carry this train off the track. I'm going to swim to the ocean floor. Children killing children while the students rape their teachers. Jesus Christ. Comets fly across the sky while the churches burn their preachers. Wow. It kind of feels like obviously this is very early internet. And so maybe there's a bit of fear of communication. The previous age going into the new age where like information is constant. And there's a sense of like, she's noticing everything going on around the world, you know. Climate change, she's mentioning climate change, nights getting colder, you know, she's talking about war, she's talking about really like heavy shit, religious insurrection, comets, you know, all these things that you cannot actually control. And I think that's the thing, is that she's like, I can't carry all of this weight on me. It's going to crush me. Or like, we can't carry this weight. Like, you can't carry the responsibility for everything that's going on in the world. And so there's a sense of like freedom, you know, and that is represented by this metaphor of like swimming, you know, letting go of the weight, becoming weightless. It's almost like a spiritual ideology, like something to follow when the world is so fucked, you know. It's a way of personally coping with the kind of onslaught of terrible news, you know. And that just feels like so appropriate for like now, doesn't it, you know? Nice melodies, like really smooth, gorgeous melodies too. And she's utilising some like non-diatonic stuff, which does kind of evoke non-Christian music, you know, something outside of the West. Let's go on to Ray of Light. I know Ray of Light. It's not something I've like listened to on repeat, but yeah, it is iconic. Okay, cool. Let's do it then. God, that guitar is so nice. God, the sound palette for this album is just so... Oh God, I missed the drop. I would say the palette for this album is just so defined and so perfect. This is just iconic, isn't it? And I love with the kind of slightly slow introspective intro, we've got something that's like bold, you know. And I feel like I just got home, and I feel it's just so iconic. Oh. And I feel. Also, the way she sings "feel," something so satisfying about that. Again, with the like tight, dry drums. Yeah. God, just what a stunning cacophony! Like, it's so great. And the melody is just—it's just perfection, isn't it? Oh, that sub. Oh, it's so good. It's just like euphoric, this song, isn't it? It's just gorgeous. For a song that was so big, it's a really weird song. It kind of has a psychedelic trip to it with all the sounds and all of the extended like... Love the little growl in her voice there. Oh, amazing. I mean, it's iconic for a reason. It just is like completely resets the agenda, doesn't it? Not only for her music, but for music. Even now, it still feels fresh and exciting to listen to, you know. But to think in 1998, considering like where music had kind of gone to up until that point. It just feels like, and it feels just completely new. Just completely new and like so unexpected, considering like, you know, the last 3 albums have kind of had elements of the Vogue-esque kind of like house, kind of new jack swingy kind of drums and whatever, that kind of production. For her to just kind of just like turn it on its head and come out with something that's like elongated and like experimental synth design, it's really just like so amazing. But she manages to put it together in a song that feels accessible. And that's the kind of magic touch with that song, is that obviously she's had experimental touches before. Like obviously we had Bedtime Stories in the previous album, like the song itself kind of had, like you could hear the Bjorkisms in it. But with this song, it feels like she's found a collaboration where like she's the person bringing the amazing pop quality, the ear for the song, and then fusing it with somebody who can kind of contrast enough that it sounds really interesting and completely unique, but like still create something that feels like kind of radio. You know, it kind of feels like sleight of hand the way that they've done it. But that is what creates the most indelible, timeless hits, is that combination between the familiar and the unfamiliar, you know, the unique, the experimental. And this song is like maybe more than any song ever, just hits that nail on the head. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Faster than a ray of light. Zephyr in the sky at night, I wonder. Also, starting with the word Zephyr, do my tears of morning sink beneath the sun? She's got herself a universe, gone quickly, for the call of thunder threatens everyone. I feel like I just got home and I feel. There's a sense of like maybe looking at some sort of goddess sinking beneath the sun. It just, there's something so huge and grand about it. Bolt of lightning has had this like realization in this moment, and it's almost like she's been put in her place as a human. She feels so small and it feels like home, you know? Faster than a speeding light, she's flying, trying to remember where it all began. She's got herself a little piece of heaven, waiting for the time when earth shall become as one. It's all so like interpretive, you know, but like for me, there's a sense of clarity, understanding your position in the world and feeling settled and feeling comfortable, and like the euphoria that comes from almost like discovering your purpose. Like if you've had years of kind of feeling uncomfortable, she's given up fame for love, and then something happens that just realigns everything. It's like a eureka moment, isn't it? And so much of it's in the grandiose metaphors, endless years, you know, she's got a universe. There's a sense of like hugeness, and in the middle of it, she's just so small, and it's like lightning bolt. I've figured it out, you know. I wonder whether like this could coincide with her becoming a mother, because like there's a real sense of finding your calling that could like really kind of relate to having children, having something that comes along really quickly and just completely changes your entire outlook on life, completely changes your purpose. I wonder whether it's like she's had children and it's almost like prompted like a complete about change within her kind of spiritual and existential kind of outlook on the world, you know. It's certainly like this song is about something like a bolt of lightning, something happening and having clarity, you know, and it's just captures that feeling incredibly well. It's amazing. Maybe like the idea of like she's got herself a universe is like the idea of creating life, you know. Like actually, if you're a mother, you are creating life. You can symbolically see the comparisons between that and like some sort of goddess who is creating life, you know. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe that's like what she's feeling. Yeah, I love that. But yeah, I just love how the sound of the song kind of takes you into the universe, you know, the vastness of the universe, the unknown of it, the wonder of it. And yet her in the middle and that like perfect hook where she says, and I feel like I just got home, just anchors you in all this kind of crazy space age shit you're flying around in the world. She anchors you right in the middle, and it's amazing. Okay, we should probably move on to the next song, otherwise I'll be doing this for hours and hours. Okay, so this is Candy Perfume Girl. That's a cool thing. Back with that guitar. Kind of reminds me of like Red Hot Chili Peppers, like that kind of guitar. See, it's in these kind of drums that you can actually hear the connection to the previous stuff.
Young velvet porcelain boy, bluish window seas, candy perfume girl. More
like just as a hook and a title that just feels like so, it's a little bit egregious, you know.
You candy perfume girl.
Wow. God, that squelchy, distorted bass sound is so cool. God, the production design on this is so amazing. It's so visionary.
Every sentence, my home. Candy perfume girl. Candy perfume girl.
I'm intrigued to look at the lyrics of this one. Whoa. It's almost like slightly behind the beat. It's very cool. That's a cool synth. Oh. Wow. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Maybe it's about queerness. Wow. Oh, those drums are just so crunchy. Like, I just love the way that, like, the smoothness and the ambience is just cut. The drums and the guitar just wow, it's so great. Yeah, there's like a kind of almost like new understanding of gender that she's putting out here, you know? Oh my god. Obviously she's like experimented with like gender expectations her entire career. That's like really just very symbolic of everything she does. But here there's like almost like a different approach to that. The sound design on, oh god, I mean this song like particularly like really spelled out like how powerful those drums are in context. Like, oh, and this is just the magic thing about this is that like it's so strong in terms of like vision. You know, it's so cohesive. Every single sound belongs in this same kind of universe. It's amazing. And just I just adore the way that the guitars and the drums just have such a strength in identity because it almost like brings everything back down to earth every time, you know? If the synths are kind of allowed to go off and do all this crazy shit, then the real instruments, the drums and the guitar are kind of the ones that ground everything, you know? Just masterful. Young velvet porcelain boy, devour me when you're with me. Blue wish, window seas, speak delicious fires. I'm your candy perfume girl. Moist warm desire, fly to me. I'm your candy perfume girl. I like the undercutting of traditional masculinity. The young velvet porcelain boy, like, has a fragility, and yet there's still strength in the way that he has sex with her, you know. Rush me, ghost you see, every scent of my home, fever steam girl, throb the oceans, your candy perfume girl. There's a sense of like sex being as huge and as universe changing as like the Big Bang or something. Like it's comparing like something as human and as internal as sex to something as huge as the universe, as the oceans, you know. Did I lie to you, candy perfume girl? Did I lie to you, magic poison? You're a candy perfume boy. The sacred nerve is magic poison, it's candy. I'm your candy perfume boy, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. Interchangeable gender, letting go of like gender stereotypes. There's a fluidity in gender in this song. Like it doesn't matter who's who. That's kind of the center of it. It's the explosion between two people. So powerful that it could, you know, move the ocean. Really beautiful. I wonder what that, like specifically candy perfume, like I wonder what that sweetness is about, you know. It might just be to evoke a sense of fragility and femininity and then used to then put that onto the boy, and then less of being literal but more of like a functional lyric, you know. Great. Really just amazing. Okay, next one. This is Skin.
Do I know you from somewhere? Sound like the stupid things I've said before.
Oh, wow. Whoa. It's quite dark.
Kiss me, I'm dying.
Ooh, I love how that's kind of taken us down.
Your hand on my skin.
Whoa.
I close my eyes.
Wow.
Do I know
Oh, I wasn't expecting us to go like fall to the floor.
why do all the things I say sound like the stupid things I've said before?
I love that lyric. I love how this album can be just so violently careening into different styles, but so cohesive.
To see inside of your soul. I want to make a correction. Do I know you from somewhere before?
Still with those gorgeous synths. I just love it.
Kiss me, I'm dying. Put your hand on my skin.
Wow. Being saved by someone by physical contact. Wow. I love those delays that come through. Oh. It's just like mind melting. It's so cool. Oh, yeah. Oh. Careening is the word. I feel like we're going over the edge. I love that there's something so powerful about just the element of touch. It really feels like there's so much grandioseness and like hugeness connected to such simple things, you know? I just love how this one's just kind of opened up and it's just... There's like a desperation in that. It's captured so well. Let's just throw in like... That sounds like an Indian... I can't remember what the name of the instrument is, but just thrown in at the end. I loved how that descended, you know, and then we went somewhere dark. It was like we were kind of floating above the surface. We're kind of like swimming in the ocean. We've got loads of beauty going on, right? And then like Candy Perfume Girl has this kind of mystery to it. And then through the beginning of this song and into this song, we're taken down into the depths. There's like desperation, there's death, there's fear in this song. And the sound of it, it's a stark contrast to the previous few songs, like where it's a kind of, the drums are much more kind of like techno-y, in the club kind of doof, 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 kind of proper dance heavy drums that really evoke a sense of darkness, you know? And then it kind of like, yeah, just evolves and gestates in this place and just kind of ends up kind of opening up into this gorgeous thing. It's like really fascinating. But yeah, like I love that the sense of power that is in the skin, the physical sense of touch, kissing, like almost like a kiss can bring you back to life. And like throughout the album, there's been like connections between like simple human things and like the divine, you know, and it feels like that is like a key thing, you know, a key theme. Do I know you from somewhere? Why do you leave me wanting more? Why do all the things I say sound like the stupid things I've said before? That's just such a good lyric. Put your hand on my skin, kiss me, I'm dying. I close my eyes, I need to make a connection, I'm walking on a thin line. I close my eyes, touch me, I'm trying to see inside of your soul. I've got this thing, I want to make a correction. I'm not like this all the time. It's like such a desperate need for connection. It's like, I'm going to die if I don't connect with other people. It's loneliness again, you know. I close my eyes, I close your eyes. Interesting. Kind of evokes death, doesn't it? Kiss me, I'm dying, touch me, I'm trying, put your hand on my skin. I think on the surface it comes across as like a kind of the need for touch, the need for physical connection to another person. But then like more kind of spiritually, there's like a sense of like the power within that. It kind of opens up these questions, you know, like why are we so desperate for connection to other people? You know, why is that such an important thing for humans, you know? The stupid things I said before, like, is a really intriguing line that kind of maybe like, it's her kind of maybe assessing her own humanity in a way, her ability to maybe not learn. Maybe she's like, why do I feel like I can't learn? Move on. I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it? Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is Nothing Really Matters. Ooh. I love all the kind of computer glitching style sounds.
When I was very young, making myself happy.
Yeah, okay, so being selfish.
Everything's changed.
Yeah, wow.
Because of you. Nothing really matters.
God, this one actually is like probably the closest to the last kind of few albums.
I live so selfishly. There's nobody with.
Yeah, there's a real sense of self-reflection here.
Nothing really matters. Comes back to you.
Yeah. Oh, there's a sense of karma, and actually putting out more love into the world and more kindness to other people and sharing with people is actually something that does actually come back to you in the long run, you know. That piano is so cool. Interesting to hear a piano, full stop. Actually, I think this might be the first time I've actually heard a piano. Maybe that's what takes it to more like a kind of towards the kind of Vogue, like house style sounds, you know? Yeah, this definitely feels like a bridge. Maybe this was like created with an idea of trying to create a bridge between projects, you know? Wow. Yeah. There's that kind of realignment of what's important to her, you know? Yeah, that was nice. That was kind of, I felt like that one didn't feel as connected to the album. I feel like maybe that's on purpose, and maybe actually like going forward it might make more sense. But this one, like maybe it's just the bringing in of the pianos that kind of took it, and the drum and bass, not the drum and bass, drums and the bass felt like iterative on the previous stuff, which is interesting considering how completely fresh and brand new everything else has felt. That's kind of the only thing I feel. Maybe they kind of conceived this song as almost like, okay, if the other stuff, if like Ray of Light doesn't actually hit, then we've got something kind of cashing in on a kind of a previous style as almost like a kind of little bit of a fail-safe backup type idea. But that's just a theory. But yeah, interesting though. And I really like what she's spiritually discovering on this particular song. When I was very young, nothing really mattered to me but making myself happy. I was the only one. Now that I'm grown, everything's changed. I'll never be the same because of you. See, that sounds like a kid. This kind of idea that like discovering selflessness through motherhood has completely changed her perspective on life. Everything I give you all comes back to me. Looking at my life, it's very clear to me I lived so selfishly. I was the only one. I realized that nobody wins. Something is ending and something begins. Nothing really matters. Love is all we need. There is a real kind of sense of understanding like and believing in karma, the sense that if you act selfishly, then you're not really putting anything out into the world. But there's a sense of like, actually, if you live in a way that's like, you're kinder to other people, you look after other people, you put stuff out there, then it will all kind of come back to you, and it will all kind of, not only will it benefit you in the long run, but it will benefit everybody else. And if everybody does it, then everyone will benefit. You know, it's like a kind of a net gain in that sense. Nothing takes the past away like the future. Nothing makes the darkness go like the light. You're a shelter from the storm. Give me comfort in your arms. Yeah, it's definitely like, for me, it's like reading very much of like the kind of epiphanies of becoming a mother, you know? The way I hear like my mum talk about becoming a mum and like how she said it was like almost kind of biological, the way in which her priorities just changed, you know? If there's something to kind of almost like rewrite you on a foundational level, it must feel like a ray of light. It's amazing. Right. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. This is Sky Fits Heaven. Oh my God, did you hear that? I'm going to have to have a lunch break in a sec. Okay. Yes, this is Sky Fits Heaven. So more like grandiose, huge universe type, gargantuan level stuff.
Sky fits heaven, that's what the prophet said to me.
Okay, Prophecies, interesting. Oh my God, the bass is so good. So it's like understanding like what she's been taught. Yeah, it's lessons learned, isn't it? Wow. I think I'll follow the sun. Gorgeous.
Very good place to start.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. Wow. Oh my God, there's drums. It's like a complete like reassessment of like what is driving her, you know? This like sonically just sets the precedent for like a new millennium of dance music. Like it reminds me of all the kind of garage music that came after that kind of took elements of what you can hear here. Oh my God. Just the dryness of those drums, like it's so like stark. It's so good.
Life it's living, so let your judgments go. Travel
signs as they go. Life is passing them by. You know, all these different ways that you could, you know, go. Like, yeah, oh, it's like direction. Like, which way do you go? Yeah, all these signs could be pointing you off to make different decisions. And she's like, with so many options, what's the thing that drives me? What is the thing that's going to guide me to make certain decisions, take certain paths? It's my heart, you know, it's the sun. Oh, okay. Amazing. Like, I just love that central metaphor, the watching the signs, because you can just completely picture it. This idea of like traveling down a long dusty road, and like there are so many different directions you could take. You're watching all these signs go past you. One's like taking you off somewhere else. One's taking you off somewhere else. And like, how are you supposed to make a decision? And it's like, okay, let's reassess. What is it that actually pushes me forward, that leads me to make certain decisions? Maybe in the past, I've been led astray because my ambition has been the thing that's been driving me, you know? That seems to be something that she's really assessing, is that like, actually maybe in the past it's her ambition. And like, that's the thing that's led her to make certain choices that have maybe led her off this path, you know? But now she's watching all those signs go past. She's not making those decisions, and she's following her heart, and she's using love and kindness and this new sense of spirituality as her like motivation, the thing that drives her, the thing that causes her to make different decisions, ones that are going to benefit more people, you know, and herself in the long run. I just adore the imagery and the metaphor within that, you know. Sky fits heaven, so fly it. That's what the prophet said to me. Child fits mother, so hold your baby tight. That's what my future could see. Oh, maybe she hasn't had kids yet. I don't know. Fate fits karma, so use it. That's what the wise man said to me. Love fits virtue, so hold on to the light. That's what our future will be. So she's literally mentioning karma and fate, love, virtue. And it's all these things are things that fit in with one another, that connect to one another. And it's like, if you want some sort of divine, you know, the heaven, then you've got to look towards the sky. You've got to look with optimism and love and lightness, you know. I love kind of how intrinsic it is. It's like really getting into like existential questions. It's really amazing. Isn't everyone just traveling down their own road, watching the signs as they go? I think I'll follow my heart. It's a very good place to start. It's like everyone's making their own decisions. Everyone's going down their own roads. And it's like, what is the thing that guides me? You know, hand fits giving, so do it. That's what the gospel said to me. Life fits living, so let your judgments go. Letting go of judgments, give to people, be kind. Yeah, reassessment of what is it that drives her, literally and figuratively. Yeah, I love that. Really cool. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is ShantiAshtangi, which I'm going to guess is like Indian or Nepalese or something. Yeah, let's go. Okay. This one seems to be actually sampling Asian instruments. Okay. Okay. So we are literally in the meditation center in Thailand or something. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's so funny because in 2025 we're so sensitive about cultural borrowing, so it does kind of feel a bit egregious. There's kind of a line, isn't there, though? I feel like the rest of the album is so clearly inspired by the spirituality in her own life, and this one is almost like taking it on holiday. You know? I mean, it makes sense. I completely understand why she's chosen to include it as part of the narrative. Like those samples. Ooh. Again, like incredible production design. It's erring on the edge of like, you know, rich white woman, eat, pray, love vibes. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the subtlety and everything else kind of doesn't take it there, but this particular one is like maybe just too on the nose. I mean, the production design is so exciting to listen to. I love that sample, it's so cool. And how it's like matched and called and responded, you know. God, if you like played somebody in 1994 or something this song and said it was Madonna, they'd be like, what? Spotify does not have the translated lyrics. I'm gonna have to look these up. Yeah, my Nepalese is not strong. yeah, like a fascinating sound design experiment. Taking instruments that have like a traditional kind of connection, but like moving them into this kind of synthetic, universal kind of unique space is very, very interesting. It's just like it's difficult to tear myself away from the kind of cultural appropriation and borrowing and, you know, culture vulture stuff. Because from this point, she's a very powerful, wealthy woman who is kind of finding her own spirituality, which is incredible and like amazing to kind of hear her discover that through a record. But like in so on the nose, taking something from a different culture and just plopping it in, it just feels like a step too far, I guess, for me. I think in the 90s, it probably wouldn't have felt quite so egregious, but I think there's a reason why we reassess these things. And yeah, and so therefore I'm not judging her like for doing it. If you're kind of judging it creatively, I think is too on the nose, you know. It kind of takes it a step too far and takes it out of this like world that she's been creating for herself, within herself, that's coming from her own spirituality, and takes it into somebody else's world, you know. Does that make sense? And that's why it kind of feels like it sticks out for me. Yeah, let's check out the translation. Oh, it's Sanskrit. I worship the Guru's lotus feet, awakening the happiness of the self revealed. 1,000-headed white, I bow respectfully. Peace. From the text from the Shankaracharya so it's literally like the actual lyrics are taken straight out of the practice of yoga. I mean, to be fair, she was early on, and like our entire connection with yoga in the West now is like, it's like intrinsic now, you know, like everybody does it. I do yoga videos online, you know, like we just had a season of White Lotus, which was about like rich white people going to Thailand to try and find some sense of spirituality in somebody else's culture. I think the way in which Madonna has done this outlines some ways in which the West has completely lost connection to spirituality in the pursuit of wealth and in the pursuit of material things. Material girl, what do you lose? You know, you lose your connection to earth, to reality, to the sun and the water of the ocean, you know. And this is Madonna trying to reconnect to something more human, more grounded, more real. But it's emblematic for like an entire generation of post-capitalists, whereas like the 70s and 80s was all about like, woohoo, isn't capitalism fucking great? We can do everything we want. And now this transition from the 90s and into now has become, wait, what have we lost? We've lost our environment. We've lost our connection to the earth, to reality, to spirituality. And this is like emblematic of an entire generation of people trying to reconnect to that. And yeah, like the tail of that like comes straight into the modern day with White Lotus. Using other people's cultures in order to discover your own spirituality. It's all very interesting and still quite pertinent. And like, it almost feels like this album is like the beginning of that entire conversation. Like I just got home and I feel. Be singing that all day. Right, let's go on to the next one. This is Frozen, which I know was a massive hit. So let's go. It's such a good song, this. I never like sat down and analysed it though. So. God, those strings are great, aren't they? I love this kind of like almost like melding of different sounds from different worlds, you know? There's a real beauty in like that percussion over like a proper classic string arrangement.
You only see what your eyes want to see.
We're frozen
when your heart's not open.
Yeah.
You're so consumed with how much you get, you're broken.
If I could melt your heart.
We'd never be.
Love that chord there. This is like harmonically such a rich song. It's so gorgeously smooth in the way that it flows, but like actually it's quite there's some real kind of non-diatonic stuff going on that's really great. You kind of have to have non-diatonic harmony if you're going to do an album that has Asian inspiration.
Love is a bird, she needs to fly when your heart's not open.
More like elongated open vowel melodies and stuff. That's not an open vowel, it's a closed vowel, but you know what I mean. The melody is open. So she's almost like become the teacher now, hasn't she? Which is interesting. string arrangement is so stunning, and I love just how like untouched the strings are, but then everything else is edited and sampled and synthetic, and gorgeous way to present strings, you know.
You only see what your eyes want to see. You're frozen when you're
Yeah, when somebody's not open to change, to seeing other people's point of view, they are truly frozen in time. They can't change, they can't grow. And she wants to save them from that. She wants to melt their heart.
we'd never be apart.
It almost kind of is like an update on the express yourself kind of thing. Sorry, not express yourself, but open your heart, where she talks about like trying to encourage an emotionless man to open up and become more emotional. Kind of has similar kind of parallels, you know.
Give yourself
To me, the key. Actually, this song reminds me of Tori Amos. You could definitely picture Tori Amos doing this song, just with more piano. The chords in those strings are fucking stunning. If I could melt your heart. Wonderful. Gorgeous. I mean, it's a fucking classic for a reason. It's amazing how like the stuff that hits is the stuff that's so totally different to anything she's ever done before. It's like a complete reinvention. And it's really fascinating to see somebody who's like, at this point, what, like 15 years into her career, I suppose at this point, doing something that is complete reinvention and having new levels of success with it. You know, I don't know about America, but I know that like this album was like huge over here, like huge. And I think like the British public, I don't know, I can't really speak for the entire country, but it felt as if like the reception to this stuff, and still now the reception to this stuff almost feels like, oh, this is more authentic. People kind of connect to it through its authenticity. I mean, obviously the other hits were massive hits in their time, but like, yeah, there's something about like the way that British people seem to revere this era that it hits different, you know. God, this song is just amazing. Like those strings are just absolutely stunning and classic and unedited and properly classical Western string arrangement. And yet it's like tainted with something else. It's like taking two sonic worlds and meeting them in the middle, you know. You just get this kind of amazing kind of frictive kind of energy that comes from that kind of production stuff. You only see what your eyes want to see. How can life be what you want it to be? You're frozen when your heart's not open. I can't sing in that octave. You're so consumed with how much you get, you waste your time with hate and regret. You're broken when your heart's not open. It's so like to the point, this one. Like there have been so many songs, especially the last one, that are like figurative, not immediate. And this one is fairly immediate. It's like you're consumed with your kind of capitalistic greed. You're completely broken by your need to get more stuff, by your selfishness, and it's left you this kind of frozen shell of a human being, like something not human. But she's like, you're not beyond saving. That's kind of the thing, isn't it? It's like, if I could melt your heart, then I know that we'd never be apart. You know, give yourself to me. You hold the key. You in yourself have the key to save yourself, and it's by listening to other people, by connecting with other people, by learning from other people. Just like Madonna's done through this album. She's learned from other people and found a new way to live. And she's like, I've been changed, and holding out her hand saying like, I can help you change. I can be that teacher for you now, you know. There's no point in placing the blame, and you should know I suffer the same. If I lose you, my heart will be broken. Love is a bird, she needs to fly. Let all the hurt inside of you die. You're frozen when your heart's not open. So this one does seem to be specifically about somebody that she really does care for. Could be a family member, could be a lover, previous lover, a friend. Somebody who's like so completely caught up in their own ambition that they have frozen themselves in time. You know, they can't connect to other people. It's cold. You know, that's so brilliant. And I love how the song itself sounds cold. You know, it's just like all brilliantly put together. Yeah, gorgeous. Right, so the next one is The Power of Goodbye. I have an interesting story about this song. I know this song like the back of my hand. Every single element of this song I know like the back of my hand, because when I was at school, I did music technology for A-level. It's where this all began, to be completely honest. So basically we had 3 pieces of coursework, and one of them was to recreate as faithfully as you possibly could the song The Power of Goodbye by Madonna. But like we had no like sheet music, we had no preconceived stuff. We literally just had the song, and we had to listen to it figure everything out on our own and recreate it as closely as we possibly could, finding and creating our own synths, getting people to record the vocals. I got my friend Jade to come in and sing the vocals for me. And so I listened to this song so in-depthly, like it taught me how to listen to music. Actually, so much of what I do here is listening to music on kind of like a deeper level, right? Like that's kind of what I love to do. Everything that I've done with the channel comes from that. And I learned to do that from this. It all started with The Power of Goodbye. So it's actually really like kind of beautiful, full circle. Yeah, like it's going to be a trip listening to this because I haven't listened to it in about, God, when was I at school? I was 17. So 15 years ago. But yeah, so let's jump back into it. I'll be able to sing the bass line to you, I'm sure. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is such a trip. Maybe I have to try and find my old version of it, see if I can upload it onto Patreon for you. Open, so I must go. I loved you so. Oh God, it's so funny. There's nothing left to try. There's no greater power than the power of goodbye. Oh, and the guitar. I forgot about the guitar. Really interesting to kind of bring an acoustic guitar into this like world, you know. I love it though. It's really gorgeous. And I love that it's almost like it's a sequel to Frozen, you know. It's like your heart is frozen and I'm learning to have to say goodbye and let go and move on. There's no greater power than the power of goodbye. This one brings in the strings too. I love kind of where we've gone to at the later end of the album with the strings, with the acoustic guitar. So sorry. It's been 15 years and I still remember the string part in the middle eight. Yeah, I love like how they set like a sonic kind of world at the beginning. They created the sonic world and then they've kind of slowly expanded it song by song. It feels like an exploration, you know, it's really wonderful. Yeah, that was a real trip listening to that again. I wonder if I can find that for you. I don't know whether you'd appreciate that or not. I mean, it's probably like, I'd be very embarrassed to share something I made 15 years ago, but like it's really, I don't know, it feels quite kind of existential and full circle and spiritual for me to be kind of re-evaluating that song 15 years later, like after like my entire life has changed multiple times, you know. Yeah, there's something quite powerful about that actually. If we think about this album talking about like all these existential questions and like actually thinking about what have I been driven by all this time, and so much of it is by the love that I discovered making this music when I was 17, you know. Yeah, it's driven me to do like this YouTube channel. It's driven me to continue to make my own music all this time. It's driven me to like falling in love with different artists and like going absolutely like halfway across the world to see them in concert, you know. And like my love of music has completely changed my life. And actually maybe like if we're thinking about the things that have led Madonna down the path that she's followed, so much of what's led me down the path that I've followed is just genuine passion for music, you know, and the emotional connection, what it brings out in you emotionally. It's like insatiable for me. Like I can't ever get enough, you know, I can't get enough of listening to music and I can't get enough of making it, you know, I just, you know, and And it all started with this fucking song. It's so crazy. Yeah. It's really amazing to think about. Really, it opened up my ears and taught me how to listen to music, you know? Yeah. And what a fascinating song. Like, it really goes to show that like this music is incredible because it kind of launched my passion for listening to music in a certain way. There was a lot of kind of synth-based music I was listening to at this time because I was obsessed with Our City as well. It was like all of that and like learning how to make it and learning how to put it together that was just like so foundational to me. It feels like we've got like a full narrative going through sonically. Like we kind of open up with a lot of experimental sounds. We have the open stuff. We have the like, you know, the synth-led stuff. We have the like the sun rays and the ocean and the water and all those kinds of feelings coming through the music. And then like we went down into the club and kind of explored that kind of place. And then we went fully to Asia and started discovering that the sounds from there. And then we've come back to something that's kind of centered in like Western style music, but is framed by all this kind of like slightly otherworldly sounding stuff, whether that's using sounds from other cultures to kind of add layers and depth and contrast, or whether that's using synth design to add layers and depth and contrast. The strings are really emblematic for me, and the acoustic guitar in this is so stunning. I love the way the acoustic guitar comes in because it just adds like that texture and that warmth, completely cuts through the song halfway through and just like completely recontextualizes the song halfway through, and it's gorgeous. Your heart is not open, so I must go. The spell has been broken, I loved you so. Freedom comes when you learn to let go. Yeah. Creation comes when you learn to say no. Yeah. So you are my lesson I had to learn, you are my fortress I had to burn. Pain is a warning that something's wrong. I pray to God that it won't be long. Do you want to go higher? There's nothing left to try. There's no place left to hide. There's no greater power than the power of goodbye. So it's really, truly like being in a relationship or any sort of connection to another person really, and realizing that like there's nothing left to be gained by staying and banging your head against a brick wall, you know? And it's like, with this person, she learned that lesson, you know, and she realized that the only way to move forward was to say goodbye. And it's really powerful to think about like how powerful the ability to say goodbye is, because life can change and things can grow if you learn to say goodbye to certain things and if you learn to embrace change, you know. There's so much fear of change that we have, you know, and she's saying, you know, you need to learn to embrace change. Your heart is not open, so I must go. The spell has been broken, I loved you so. You are my lesson I had to learn, you are my fortress I had to burn. It's interesting having Frozen and this kind of paired together, because it really feels like in Frozen she still has hope that she can melt their heart, but like at this point she's actually learning that like she's tried and it hasn't worked, and so she's like, okay, we're saying goodbye. It really feels like the two songs are like side by side, different sides of the same story, before and after. Yeah, really great. Next song, To Have and Not to Hold. So we're letting go, physically, literally, metaphorically. Again, we've like sonically gone somewhere else.
To have and not to hold.
Wow.
My heart is in your hand. To laugh, not to weep. Anything to make me want to stay. Only I am to blame.
I'm really lost in this like hypnotic vibe, you know. Interesting. It's like letting go of ownership over somebody, you know. Really interesting turning around of that phrase.
I go straight to you. You're to have.
There's a lot of like automated kind of fluctuating arpeggios, phasing sounds. I do actually really appreciate how the sound design actually has quite a light touch with the Eastern influences. Like you can hear the ding, 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 in that bell type sound, which is obviously like quite evocative of that part of Asia. But it's light, it's a hint of it. I think ShantiAshtangi is probably the only thing that's felt that hit of the head. The rest of it actually, to me, feels very subtle, very artfully done, you know. again with the acoustic guitar. Yeah, it does feel like throughout this album, like letting go is just such a key thing. And this one kind of brings that metaphor together, you know, with marriage, to have and to hold forever and ever, you know. It's like understanding that maybe, although sometimes we want to be able to say things are forever, sometimes actually being able to let go of forever and just understand that change is inevitable at some point, you know, we will all die, is actually a way of actually dealing with it, you know. And it's interesting that for me that she's used a phrase that is like so intrinsic in Christian marriage and undoing that, you know. She's like chosen specifically something that's like in the wedding vows to like twist. To have and not to hold, so hot yet so cold. My heart is in your hand and yet you never stand close enough for me to have my way. To love but not to keep, to laugh not to weep. Your eyes, they go right through and yet you never do anything to make me want to stay. Like a moth to a flame, only I am to blame. Ba-ba-da-ba-da, what can I do? I go straight to you. I've been told you're to have, not to hold. You don't control anything, you don't own anything. That seems to be like quite a key part of Buddhism, is that like to try and assert power and control over other things is not good, you know. And she's trying to let go of that. The object of your desire, I'm walking on a wire and there's no one at all to break my fall. Yeah, so it's like she's been drawn to a person who's like actually like destined to kind of break her heart. I like the kind of like how the lyrics kind of have these different like contrasts in them. So you've got like to have, not to hold, so hot yet so cold, my heart and your hand, to laugh, not to weep, to love, not to keep, like all these kind of like one and the other, like two sides. And then she's walking the tightrope in between, you know, as like a kind of lyrical conceit. It's really clever and really powerful. It evokes quite a lot of kind of spirituality in that way, like the kind of two sides of it, you know. Right, let's go on to the next one. Penultimate song. This is Little Star. Ooh, nice. God, albums from the CD era are all long. Once they let go of records, they were like, hour and a half, don't care. I mean, this one's only an hour and 5, but you know.
Never forget who you are, little star.
I love the atmosphere in this, like, and then punctured by just moments of drums, you know.
God gave a present to me, made of flesh and bone. You made
Oh, hello.
my spirit whole.
Yeah. Oh, gorgeous. Love the harmony there. This one definitely sounds like a song to a kid. Her child, not just a random one.
Never forget where you come from love. My star.
That bass almost sounds like a double bass or something, like a really edited one, but it's quite interesting. Has that plucked quality to it. Love that. It's so good.
Never forget how to dream, butterfly.
Nice. Oh.
May the angels protect you.
There's such a kind of lightness in this song, which is so gorgeous. Like, just the harmony in it is just so gorgeous. It just lifts you out, you know. There's something cosmic about the sound design in this, you know. And maybe that's like the reason why she's connected to the idea of the star. It's connected to the universe, you know. God, those chords there, I just love.
Flying higher than all the birds in the sky. From love.
I love the tenderness in her voice in this one too. Like, it really does feel like she's singing it to her child.
Little star.
It's so nice, isn't it? It's like she's literally looking at this baby like, oh. Amazing. Just like the sound design is just fucking insane. I just love it. Yeah, and it like, again, like with her connection to childbirth and like connection. It's like connecting to the cycle of life in the universe, you know. And now she has this little baby, the little star, you know. It's like the carbon that's fallen down from the universe and somehow made its way into you, you know. It's like that kind of cosmic connection that really makes you feel so small in the greater scheme of it all, you know. That's a good lyric. There's something so powerful about being made to feel small. That is something that it seems like childbirth and having children has given Madonna, you know, this sense of I'm but one tiny speck in this huge kind of cosmic thing. But then there's something so stunning and beautiful about creation of life in that, you know. It's yeah, phenomenal really. Never forget who you are, little star. Never forget how to dream, butterfly. God gave a present to me, made of flesh and bones, my life, my soul. Yeah, you make my spirit whole. Never forget who you are, little star. Shining brighter than all the stars in the sky. Never forget how to dream, butterfly. Never forget where you come from. There's almost like a little lullaby type thing to it, you know. You're a treasure to me. You are my star. You breathe new life into my broken heart. Oh, may goodness surround you. My love, I have found you. Little star shining bright. Never forget where you come from love. Yeah. And it's like, you know, if this whole album has been an exploration of her own spirituality and her need to follow her heart, to follow love and to put beauty out into the world rather than sadness and anger and greed and whatever. In this little perfect package, she's managed to do that in a physical way, you know, and now she can pass that love and pass everything she's learned down to this little baby, and on we go in the big cycle of life, you know. There's something so powerful about having this as the penultimate song of the album, because like it just kind of throws into sharp relief the power of what she's discovered, you know. It's perfect because the creation of a baby is the most everyday natural thing that we do in our lives as basic like organisms and yet at the same time it is truly magical and remarkable and insane that like that can happen. And so it kind of holds both of these contradictions within itself, you know, the act of childbirth. It's something so simple and obvious, but also something impossible to get your head around at the same time. And it's within that contradiction that you have everything about being human, you know. And I think that's kind of what she's found, is that like those two sides of the same coin are such a key part of all this kind of spiritual stuff that kind of goes throughout Asia, throughout Buddhism. The two sides of everything, that spirituality is represented in this little baby, you know, who's like there right in front of her. So it really is just so powerful, you know, because it brings together all those themes as something that's so ultimately relatable. Right, let's go on to the last one. This is Girl. Material Girl? Material Girl? Cool, let's go. That almost sounds like a heartbeat, like on an ultrasound or something. That sounds like a phone or something, doesn't it? Wow.
I ran from my house, from the man that I cannot keep.
Wow.
From my mother who haunts me, daughter that never sleeps. I ran to the treetops, into the rain.
Wow.
Hid my tears. I ran to the trees. I was looking for me.
There you go.
I ran past the churches, crooked old mailbox.
This is really the most experimental sounding song.
I ran to the cemetery and I saw the crumbling tombstones.
Wow. She's like running from her problems and looking for something, right? This is like the discovery.
I tasted my fears. Ground gave way.
The imagery here is so amazing.
Hands marched across my back,
Becoming one with the earth.
looking there still, and I smelled
She'll never
her
find
burning flesh,
an answer.
her decay. I'm still running away.
From death. Wow. What an interesting song. It's kind of the whole story, but maybe right at the end, she's actually kind of admits that like, as much as she has found some spirituality and some sense of how to go forward with her life, at the end of the day, she's still running from death. she's still kind of, that is the thing that's still motivating her. And she, you know, admitting that maybe she won't ever have the answer, but she has still learned something from this journey. You know, it's like maybe there won't actually ever be an answer. There isn't an answer. The answer is there isn't an answer. You know, that kind of feels like what this song is trying to tell me, you know, and like that one, like as a final song, just really goes off the edge on in terms of the sound design. It really kind of opens it up into kind of like almost like a post-pop kind of place. Like it doesn't follow any kind of like structure. And I like that it kind of just unfurls at the end. It almost just kind of lets go and just lets everything kind of hang out at the end. It's quite kind of interesting, but quite powerful kind of statement to put at the end, you know. I ran from my house that cannot contain me, from the man I cannot keep, from my mother who haunts me even though she's gone, from my daughter that never sleeps. I ran from the noise and the silence, from the traffic and the streets. So it's, you know, like the man that she's been talking about that she hasn't been able to make it work with, who she says to say goodbye to, her mother, who apparently has a fraught relationship with, haunts her. From the daughter that she's had, maybe there's a bit of postnatal depression, like the daughter's not sleeping, she's like trying to look after the daughter. I ran from the noise and the silence is so powerful, from the traffic on the streets, like trying to escape all these things that contain me. I need change. I need to, like we were saying, like this is like, you know, the trappings of kind of modern capitalism, and she's trying to escape all that and connect back to nature, you know. I ran to the treetops, I ran to the sky, out to the lake, into the rain that matted my hair and soaked my shoes and skin, hid my tears, hid my fears. So it's almost like she admits that actually maybe like this spirituality is almost like cloaking her fears. You know, the rain is hiding the tears, you know. Maybe she's actually admitting that although maybe she's learned something from what she's done, actually like trying on a different religion hasn't actually solved the issue. It's only just masked it for a while. I ran to the forest, I ran to the trees, I ran, I was looking for me. So she was looking for herself, trying to find some kind of self-discovery. I ran past the churches and the crooked old mailbox, religion, past the apple orchards and the lady that never talks. Up into the hills, I ran to the cemetery. I held my breath and thought about your death. Maybe it's the mother. I ran to the lake, up to the hills. I ran, I'm looking there still. And I saw the crumbling tombstones, all forgotten names. I tasted the rain. I tasted my tears. I cursed the angels. I tasted my fears. So really she comes face to face with death, and she realizes that like that is something that will always be running from. And the ground gave way beneath my feet. The earth took me in her arms. Oh God, leaves covered my face, ants marched across my back, black sky opened up, blinding me. I ran to the forest, I ran to the trees, I ran, I was looking for me. I ran to the lakes and up to the hill. I ran, I'm still looking there still. I smelled her burning flesh, her rotting bones, her decay. And I ran, and I'm still running away. It's really just incredible imagery, like so dark. Like the whole rest of the album is so light and bright and gorgeous and like, you know, golden, optimistic, kind of beautiful. I mean, it touches on sadness, touches on like saying goodbye and all these kinds of things. But the one thing it doesn't touch on is death until this point. And I think like at the end of the day, the reason why as humans we've kind of developed this spirituality, like the reason why religion exists and the reason why we react in the way we do is because we are also scared of death. And I think that's what she's finally realized, is that like the thing that's really prompted all of this is death itself and running from death and the fear of it. Because like that whole section, like her running up to the cemetery and falling into the ground, like I wonder whether it's like the death of her mother has kind of prompted a lot of these questions and really kind of made her like really consider who she is and reconsider her motivations. It's again another thing that's actually everyday, you know, inevitable, something that happens to everybody. It's the most natural thing in the world, and yet is terrifying. And the thing that drives us all to do everything that we do, that has created religion, has created spirituality, it's all come out of death. But she's still running away, you know. It's kind of, I think like at the end of the day, as humans, as long as we're alive, we're still going to be running from death. And that will always be our motivation, you know. And actually, if you think about what we were saying about the two different sides of the coin, the other side of life is death. And that's a key thing. If she'd missed that off on this album, then it wouldn't have connected to the level of spirituality that she really wanted to actually connect to, because it is the most key thing. And I think it's powerful, really powerful, that she's chosen to kind of leave that to the end. Yeah, it's really just so fascinating. The thing about like talking about spirituality and the way that we've talked about her kind of running to different cultures to try and reconnect with a sense of that, it can sometimes be presented in a way that's like, look how enlightened I am. Like, I'm this rich white person who's gone, and now I'm amazing, and I know what I'm talking about, and I can go around and preach that I've done this, I've got it all figured out, blah, blah, blah. But what I love here is that she doesn't say that. She actually undercuts that. This song feels quite self-aware in that way, because it's actually actively saying, you know, I don't have all my shit together. I'm running away from all of my problems. I've been running away from all my problems. Like, I've been hiding my tears with the rainfall. And she admits that, like, even now she's still running away, and everything that she's kind of discovered through the spirituality is because she's still running away from death. The ghost of her mother that haunts her, you know. It makes it even more powerful because she's undercut everything she's learnt with, actually, you know, I don't have my shit together any more than you do. And so it really does kind of connect the listener to her in a more kind of grounded way. It kind of stops it from becoming preachy and brings it down to what the album is, which is a personal exploration of spirituality and existentialism, you know. And this last song kind of brings it right back down to earth. The key thing about this album, I think, overall, is that, like, sonically, lyrically, metaphorically, there's so much kind of this, like, hugeness, the spirituality, the universe, this cosmic feeling in every aspect of it. But throughout every single song, there is a way in which she brings it back down to earth. And that is the kind of key thing. It creates that kind of amazing frictive tension, but also in the sonics as well. You've got, like, otherworldly synth design pulled down by acoustic guitar and drums, recognizable strings. You know, it's like every single element of experimentalism is pulled back down to earth. And that's kind of the thing that brings everything together. And right at the end of the album, she brings herself back down to earth as well, you know. And, like, what an astonishing thing. Like, this whole... It's like a complete reinvention. There was only one song on there did I kind of hear any sort of sonic connection to her previous work. It just feels like a complete rebirth. And it's amazing that, like, she was able to do that, was able to kind of cut loose of all the things that she had learned up until that point, let go of all of the weight holding her down, the expectations, and just do something that was completely brand new. But I think, like, the way the spirituality actually plays into the way in which this album came around is quite pertinent as well. Because you think, like, maybe it required her to kind of spiritually leave everything behind and let go and become somebody new in order to do that as an artist as well. You can have, like, all the experimentalism in the world and all the genre boundary pushing in the world, but if the songs themselves don't have a center of something strong, then, you know, it's just fluff. But, like, the fact is that, like, every single one of these songs has something that pulls it down to earth in the songwriting, in the melodies, in her performance, in the lyrics, in the narrative things, in the kind of relatable feelings, you know, of people searching for themselves. It just is astonishing. And when you think about before and after, it's like, it changed the world of pop music. It changed what pop albums can be. Yeah, it's amazing to properly, like, listen to it and dissect it all. The only misstep for me is the ShantiAshtangi one. And I think that's just because, like, as I said, like, I don't judge her for doing that at the time, but looking back, it just kind of feels like it's egregious. It kind of feels like the only thing that's not her personal expression of her newfound spirituality, and rather somebody else's expression that's copy and pasted in. Does that make sense? But yeah, other than that, it feels like true kind of personal revelations, and that's the thing that connects you to it so much, you know. Yeah, astonishing. What a feat. I'm tired. Thank you once again for leading me on my Madonna journey. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was lived up to the expectation of a ray of light reaction. I gave it my best. Cool. Thank you so much for watching that. What would I say? It's been like a couple of months and I've listened to Ray of Light a few times now. So what would my favorite song be? I actually think, obviously, like it's very easy to say Frozen or Ray of Light or one of those like classics is my favorite song. And maybe they kind of are, but I'd say, I'm going to say for today, my favorite song was Drowned World / Substitute for Love, just because the energy, the way that she kind of brings something so totally different, and the way it sets up the album and the vibe of it. And there's something so beautiful about it. And I've been listening to the album like a few times this summer, and it's really just like epitomized this kind of like almost like gorgeous, relaxed summer's day kind of vibe for me. And Drowned World is like the epitome of that and sets up the whole album for that vibe. So I'm going to give it to that. But yeah, thank you so much everybody for watching the video. If you want to check out my Patreon exclusive Madonna reactions, they are on Patreon. I've done bedtime stories and erotica over on there. And if you want to check out my first Madonna discovery video where we go through a whole bunch of classic music videos and live performances from the 80s, then I'll link that one here. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.